A 24-year-old woman was detained at a bank for attempting to cash her own paycheck. And what happened next? It shattered her career, her reputation, and nearly her future. Tanisha Carter had just wrapped up a double shift. She was a licensed civil engineer. Tired, proud, she walked into the bank to deposit her first substantial paycheck. But the moment the teller saw her ID, everything changed. She called the manager. The manager looked at Tanisha, then at the ID, back at Tanisha. "Are you sure this is yours?" he asked, eyeing her suspiciously. She froze. "I work for Ellison & Moore Engineering," she explained. "This check is mine." The manager scoffed. "That's a pretty big firm," he said. "You work there?" Security was called, authorities arrived, and within 15 minutes, Tanisha was being escorted out in handcuffs. The allegation? Attempted check fraud, forgery, impersonation. No investigation, no questions, not even a phone call. There was no fingerprint analysis, no attempt to contact the firm, no review of her professional credentials. Instead, the district attorney's office pursued the maximum charge. Tanisha's public defender didn't arrive until day 3. By then, the prosecution had already informed reporters she may be linked to an emerging check fraud operation. Except there was no operation, just Tanisha. They insisted her check was fake, but the bank never released it for verification. The engineering firm, they emailed documentation. HR confirmed her employment, sent over payroll history, stamped, signed, and official. The court disregarded it. The judge stated, "I don't find this profile consistent with what I expected from someone in this role." And just like that, Tanisha was sentenced to 3 years of probation and placed on a federal compliance watch list. But here's what no one saw coming. 6 months later, a bank employee came forward with internal emails. One message read, "Extra verification needed for high-value checks from unrecognized accounts." Another message said, "Let's prevent any PR incidents. Hold anything questionable for review." It wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. It wasn't just Tanisha. She wasn't dishonest. She was profiled. And just as she prepared to defend herself, her professional license was suspended. Her savings account was frozen. And she noticed unfamiliar vehicles parked near her home. Why? Because what she was about to uncover could reveal a much larger truth. After 6 months of being locked out of her career, Tanisha remained flagged. Employers ghosted her. Even rideshare apps rejected her after background checks. But one evening, an anonymous message landed in her inbox. Subject line, they erased it. Attached, a PDF. It was a scanned memo from the bank's internal compliance office. Purge all flagged customer disputes from underrepresented demographics, dated January to June. That was the exact time frame of Tanisha's arrest. But there was more. Another file, shredded and pieced back together. It was her original deposit slip, stamped valid, initialed by a senior employee. Her transaction had been cleared internally, but the branch manager blocked it, deliberately, because Tanisha wasn't just another customer. She was the highest earning new account holder that quarter, and her arrest boosted that branch's fraud prevention rating, which in turn qualified the management for quarterly performance bonuses at Tanisha's expense. She submitted the evidence to her state's financial oversight agency. Initially, they dismissed it, but one investigator took a deeper look. He uncovered 9 similar cases, different names, same playbook, same branch manager. He issued a request for archive records. But then, something unexpected happened. 2 days later, the bank building caught fire. The records room was destroyed. Coincidence? The fire marshal raised concerns, but Tanisha had already prepared. She had duplicates. And the investigator, he contacted a federal financial body. Suddenly, the bank's upper management went silent. The branch manager took personal leave, and a discreet federal inquiry began. The further they looked, the more troubling it became, because it appeared someone within the system was covering up the entire operation. The investigation team arrived unannounced. They requested access to footage, but the security server had malfunctioned. No recordings, no entries. Then, a janitor spoke up. He remembered seeing something odd. The night before the fire, a cart was wheeled into the basement. A man in a dark suit was seen removing hard drives from the server closet. One drive had a red sticker, access logs, internal only. Investigators reviewed the vault records. They were incomplete. One key transaction had been deleted. It showed that just hours before Tanisha's arrest, another customer had attempted to deposit a flagged check, a white male client. Same check amount, same company listed. But his deposit was quietly denied. No escalation, no incident report. The difference? The enforcement applied inconsistently, and the manager didn't escalate it. Why? Because that client was a relative. News traveled fast. Auditors visited 3 additional branches, all under the same regional director. Tanisha was invited to testify. When she entered the courtroom, the same judge who had dismissed her earlier evidence recused himself. No explanation, no comment. But the story wasn't over. Tanisha was offered a confidential settlement, 6 figures, a non-disclosure agreement. She declined. She wanted more than a payout, and just a few months later, she returned to the same bank, same branch, same lobby. But this time, she wasn't depositing a check. She was finalizing a property ownership deal. Tanisha had taken legal action, won damages, and partnered with a minority-led investment group. She didn't just buy a bank, she acquired that very branch, the one that changed the course of her life. The employees didn't even know, until a new regional director arrived with her. Tanisha entered the lobby, wearing a tailored gray suit, confident, quiet. She shook the hand of the new branch leader and said, "I once stood right here and was told I didn't belong. Now, I own the floor." But her mission didn't stop at ownership. She reopened every disputed account closed in the last decade. Her legal team uncovered more than 3 dozen clients, primarily women and underrepresented professionals, who were denied services without due process. She formed a review task force, launched an advocacy group for financial accountability, and began sharing her story across professional networks. And the final twist? One of the staff who had originally challenged her credentials applied for a job under her new leadership. She declined the application, but included a handwritten note. This isn't about punishment, it's about integrity. Tanisha's story wasn't just about a check, it was about power reclaimed. And yet, there are thousands of others like her. People misjudged, not by truth, but by appearance, by perception. So now the question is, how many more lives are sidelined before anyone starts watching? Because not everyone gets a second chance to walk back into the building that tried to erase them and take back the keys. So, what would you do if it happened to you? If you find this story interesting, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button.